I have 3 universal food choppers. In this video, I'm just going to talk about the differences in some of the sizes and how they are either similar or different. In case you are considering getting one of these, this will help with some questions that you may have. They're all universal, of course. And the sizes, these are the 3 most popular sizes that you will find that were made, whether it be if you find it at the thrift store or a yard sale, or you get it on a place like eBay. These 3 sizes are the most common. There's the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3. 3 is the largest, and I'd say of all these 3, the one you probably see the most is the number 1. Now there is, I believe, 2 other sizes that are even smaller than this. I think it's a 0 and a 00, a 00. I have never seen one of those, so they're out there, but they're not as common. And for my own personal use, I don't think I'd want to go below a 1. So if you're considering getting one, these are the sizes that you'd want to be looking at: 1, 2, or 3. Now you can see that they are different heights, and each of the I guess the main things you're looking at that make them different is the size of the feeding area here where you put in your stuff, and the other difference is the size or the height of them from the bodies, especially when it goes from the table up. The handles, this one definitely has a beefier, and whoops, I don't have that hooked up all the way, that's why it came loose there. So that's the main difference, really, between the 3. Size of the chute, and how tall they come up from the table. Now the thing that I didn't know until I ended up getting both a 1 and a 2 is these 2 are identical except for 2 differences, and that is this chute and the number 2 is slightly bigger, and it sits a little taller from the table to the top. But everything else is identical. So the parts are interchangeable. The handles are exactly the same. This one, I don't have it hooked up, so I'm going to pull it out. This thing here, which is like the grinder, the worm, or the auger, I guess you can, this is the more appropriate term. Identical, same size as for either one. Handle, same size. This little screw nut is for the same for both of them. And so are the little parts that go on, the attachments that go on the front, which I'm going to bring that around, the camera around, so you can get a close-up of that. Now the 3, these parts for the 3 do not work on number 1 and 2. They only go for the number 3 because I've never seen or heard of a size bigger than the 3. So I'm going to move the table around so you can get a look at the attachments. Now from this angle, this is the 3, this is the 2, and this is the 1. These parts here will fit the 1 or the 2. And in this lineup is the parts that only fit the number 3. And when you buy one of these, like if you were buying it new back in the day, it would come with 3 parts. So let's take a look at the attachments. I have them in order of rough cut, medium cut, fine cut, and this is for nut butter. This one, you get rough cut, medium cut, fine cut, and finer cut. So this one actually came with 4 attachments stock with this. These you would get 3. And the reason why I say 3 is this attachment here is known as a nut butter attachment. It's flat. There's no like open areas here, like say you see here with this one. And this is for making nut butter. But you can also use this attachment for making flour. And I have done it before. So that's what this attachment is nice to use as well, is for grinding up some flour and nut butter. And over here, if you look at these attachments, this is a super fine one. You can see that this versus this is a big difference in size. So that's the fine. Well, this is more like extra fine. And then this is the fine cut. And this is kind of a medium-ish cut. And this is the extra large rough cut. Now, when it comes to also this nut butter attachment, I have looked and looked and looked, and nowhere have I been able to find a nut butter attachment for this, number 3. I don't know if they made them. If they did, I have yet to find one. So that's why even though I like the size on this, these are the ones I'm going to be using the most, because the nut butter attachment is a big one for me to use. So I started with the 1 and I really liked it, and I thought, well, I'd like something bigger, and then I found the 2, and that's when I found that it had the nut butter attachment. And I thought, well, I could go with the 3, but then once I got the 3, I was disappointed that I was unable to find a nut butter attachment for this. So I'm probably going to sell this one, because a nut butter attachment is a must for me. So here, let me bring this up again. Let's get some overhead shots of this so you can have a little bit of a look here at the sizing, the 1, the 2, and the 3, so you can just see them from different angles. Now here, that's between the 1 and the 2, and you see the shoot's bigger, and I like that it's just a bit bigger. It makes it a little easier to put more stuff in there. And then this is really like a big difference bigger. But no nut butter attachment. So that was reason why I'm probably not going to keep this one. And then here are the handles, and you can see the handles kind of, well, in the 1 and 2 they hang down about the same. The 3, it definitely hangs down longer. And here we can take it from this angle. And here, let's take a look at these attachments. Trying to get the camera to, let's flip these for you, so you can see that nut butter. Sometimes it'll say nut butter on it, or sometimes it just is plain. But the way to know a nut butter is there are no little blades on it, no grooves like that. So you got those 3, and then over here, let's flip that. And so extra fine, fine, medium, and coarse. And these can all get cleaned up. I have not done anything on these since I've gotten them. And oh, and because they're cast iron, and as long as you season all this, you can clean these up and season the parts, so that kind of like what you do with a cast iron pan to keep the rust from coming back. The cast iron will literally last forever, as long as you're not dropping it from really high heights or shocking it with going from burning hot to cold. That can crack a cast iron up. So that's the difference on the size from the 1, the 2, and the 3. So if you have one of these or considering getting one, keep this information in mind. My personal recommendation is I would go with a 1 or a 2 because you get the nut butter attachment. Also, if you are looking for a meat grinder, these are not really designed for grinding raw meat. These are known as food choppers, which essentially they're food processors. They're meant for grinding up cooked meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, flour, grains, all that kind of stuff. If you want something for grinding meat, when you purchase the item, like here it says food chopper, Universal does make some meat choppers. It'll say meat chopper or meat grinder, but I think mostly it says meat chopper. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to show you, this is a different brand. This is a meat, it says here meat chopper. This is a number 10 made by Enterprise. The other thing, when you get a meat grinder for doing raw meat, it's going to have this kind of a blade, and it's going to have an attachment that kind of comes off like this. So when you see something that looks like this in the front end, that's designed for processing raw meat and making sausages. So just kind of keep that in mind. It should say meat, and the front end should look like this. So if the front end of your cast iron chopper looks like this, is a food chopper. Good for doing cooked meat. And the way that they were advertised when they came out is it showed that you could use these a lot for processing leftovers and making it into different things. So this was before you would get when they came out with Cuisinart, which I think sometime in the 60s, an electric food processor. This is how you did it. Or you could use a knife, but this was faster. So I hope that this helps in you deciding what is the right size for you to get. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.